just in case you forgot, Mother's Day is not about making men look good. No, it's not about that. I know, it's hard. It's so hard to not let them make us help them look good to their own mothers or the women who they forced to become mothers or who became mothers and almost died giving these men their legacy. It's not time for you to make your brother not look like trash, right? This is the time that we need to let them fail, even if it's heartbreaking to watch. No matter how much you love that woman, do not let him take credit for what you do, okay? My buddy Shar made a video about this that reminded me that we should talk about this because it is almost Mother's Day in the US, and I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks later here in France. I don't know. It's different all over the place. But this is the season for celebrating mothers, which usually means a car and like more labor. Honestly, really. Even when men are trying to show appreciation, they end up creating more labor for women. Because whatever men don't do, women come in and swoop in like the little superhero enablers that we are and save them from hurting their mother's feelings or their wife's feelings or their whatever, whoever it is in their life. We protect these men, these king babies who will never grow up, and to protect them from the consequences of their own actions. So, you haven't seen Shar's video, I'll link it, and you're probably following her if you follow me, but just in case, go follow her. But I want to talk about an article that was in the New York Times recently that talked about this, or one aspect of this, and it is not just your own mother, right, and not just your in-laws, but all of them. How women are forced to do all this labor to keep the family together. I'm tired of it. And you know what I love for me is I don't do that. Partly because I can't, because I don't speak fluently the language of my husband's family. I'm still learning, and but I really didn't very well when I met them. And so I have a convenient excuse to not ever be forced into that role or even take that role on myself because, you know, my little codependent, approval-seeking, indoctrinated into patriarchy, little, I want to be the best dad. This one who like wants to get, you know, make straight A's and whatever I'm supposed to be as a woman. I know that pressure would come from within me if, you know, because Anthony doesn't make me do any of this stuff or try to make me do any of this stuff. But you know what? That call is coming from inside the house. Hello, Melanie. What about da-da-da? It's always there. It's always there. So it's not just about men are not the only ones who have to fix a lot of stuff. We have to fix this. We have to fix our little fixer, right? We have to work on that little girl who watched Beauty and the Beast as a child and was like, oh, I'm supposed to literally turn an animal into a nice man. And all that stuff, even though he threw a table at me. And is a selfish prick with a bunch of inanimate objects who are scared of him. And all walk on eggshells around him. But for me, he will be a better man. A fork, that. Every movie is Beauty and the Beast or The Little Mermaid. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? So even if you don't have a husband who pushes you to do this, like because they're so manipulative or they just refuse to, or whatever, we have it in us usually on some level. It's really hard to get out of patriarchy without this in us, but especially if we grew up, you know, with watching that role modeled for us, to just come in and just take on all this work, right? Just do it. That's my job. I have to make sure that my husband and his family are close. Luckily, like, that is not even an issue for me. He is very close with them, has a great relationship with them. So I just like walked into like easy town. I was like, well, I don't have to do anything, right? And no one expects anything from me because I can't talk very well. Like, I love that for me. Anyway, one of my mutuals, I'll try to remember to tag her. She does so much great content about decentering men. in the marriage, specifically with her in-laws and how she has figured out how to step away from doing all this. But let's talk about what this is, because Mother's Day is one of the biggest days that kinkeeping happens. Now, what I find fascinating is that I feel like things that we're talking about on like TikTok and YouTube are like light years ahead of what the mainstream media is talking about, right? Because I was like, we've been talking about this for a long time. Why are y'all just now writing about it? Anyway, better late than never. But this is why, this is absolutely why they want to ban TikTok. This has been a conversation happening for a long time, like 2 years at least. Why is this just now coming out? Again, better late than never. But this is why sometimes I forget why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's because I don't want to wait to pitch this stuff to a publication and then have to, because y'all, if you're new here, I'm a writer, journalist, storyteller, comedian. I've been doing a lot of things, right? Over 60 articles in major publications, right? And this right here is one reason why I love doing this now, video essay, because I don't have to have an editor. I don't have anybody being like, can you just phrase it this way? I don't have anyone telling me to, I get to say whatever I want, except I can't say words like, well, I have to say fork and grape and all that stuff. But you can't say that really in this one either, so whatever. So what is kinkeeping? Before I go anywhere, one last thing. Follow my Patreon, okay? I have a Patreon. You get to see lots of my stuff, my personal stories, more of my, behind the curtains kind of stuff, because I have become more private with time. Even if you can't afford a tier, just follow me there because I share some free stuff sometimes. All that's in the description in this video. Anyway, links, they're all attached to this video. And please comment on anything I'm talking about and ask questions, because we love having good conversations over here on this page. So, the constant work to keep a family connected has a name. Kinkeeping. That's what it's called. It plays a crucial role in the family's health and well-being, and it's still predominantly done by women. No surprise, right? They start off this talking about like pure magic around Christmas. I've talked about that. Christmas magic. It blew my mind 2 years ago when I learned that Christmas magic, that was all about the women. My mom and my stepmom. Or, my grandma, like they were cooked, but everything around Christmas that was lovely and nurturing and everything, all the labor at Christmas time was always done by women. Women who worked just as much, if not more hours than the men who benefited from that labor. My dad purposely wrapped presents terribly so that we wouldn't expect anything from him. Everything he did terribly was on purpose. You could literally see what the gift was because he wouldn't even cover the whole package. I started wrapping it just like that, just to be like, oh yeah, two can play at this game. You want to know what your present is before you even open it? Now you know. Just like Christmas magic or holiday magic. I don't mean to be exclusive here. This is literally all holidays. Guess who's doing everything? No matter what culture, religion, community you're part of, it is almost always women doing all this stuff. Unless it's got a big manly thing, like I get to poke steaks, right? Like men always want to do the grill because somehow it's not emasculating. But doing the grill inside of the house, no, I'm a man. And then in a restaurant, no, I'm the chef. It's like they literally want to be like the big cook king, as long as it's not literally in their home. For their families and for the women they love or the family they love, no. Only if men see me doing it. I get to wear a big hat. Here in France, they literally wear the big tall hats. I'm like, wow. So then they talk about how this magic making thing has a name, kinkeeping. It's just one aspect of kinkeeping. And now that we've got Mother's Day, this is what it is. So they talk about how kinkeeping has been cropping up in sociology literature in the mid-20th century. So it's not like TikTok discovered this, right? It's just that these social media platforms are what popularize a lot of these terms. Basically, it's the role of a family communicator who helped the extended group stay in touch by sharing family news and planning gatherings. But now this has been extended to creating and carrying on family traditions, buying gifts for birthdays and holidays, Mother's Day, coordinating medical care, and performing all sorts of emotional caregiving. Who is the person that informs everyone when someone's sick? Usually not a man. Like, just think about it. Whenever someone dies, someone is in the hospital, even like bad news, it's almost always a woman sending that. Unless it's literally her husband or something. It's almost always a woman who just has to like spread the news, right? Coordinate care, coordinate help. It is even women who are being like, hey husband, your mom was in the hospital. Like, maybe you should send your dad a text and maybe you should go visit your mom. Like, so many of these men are so selfish and self-involved and lack so much emotional intelligence, not because they can't do this work, but because they just don't care. They refuse to. They don't want to change. They want someone to tell them what to do. What do I do? Oh, I text da 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 da. Like, literally, so many of these men would have no relationships with anyone if it wasn't for their wives and girlfriends. Right? And what I'm saying is, let those relationships fail. Let their moms be mad at them. And here's the hard part. And I know that a lot of mother-in-laws expect the daughter-in-laws to force their sons to have relationships with them. And if the mother-in-laws don't get a good present, who's going to pay the price really? Is it the son, or will she blame his wife for letting him give her a crappy present? Stop caring. Stop caring. You do not need to be her for your mother-in-law. I mean, try not to be her, like, at all, but, like, your mother-in-law. That's not your family. I love my mother-in-law. I love my whole in-law family. I really, truly enjoy spending time with them, right? And even still, as much as I love and appreciate them, I refuse to be involved in that, right? And I don't even need to, because again, Anthony's really close with his family, but he has learned from me some things about just maintenance in terms of like kids and stuff like that, right? That I had to learn from my sister, who was like, hey, if you want this, like, you have to do this with children, you know, like, I have a lot to learn too. I've talked about that too. I am not naturally like nurturing. I don't know how to be a mom. That's why I'm not one. But I didn't even know how to be an aunt. I did not know that when you talk to children, you can't just be like, hey, what's happening? Like, I know on some level, because I was a teacher for a while, but when it comes to like really young kids, that you have to ask before, like, what have they been up to? So then you can ask pointed questions, right? And I send dumb videos all the time, just so they know, like, all of this I've had to teach myself, right? Not like, men think that we just like know this stuff. No, we don't. Maybe some women just naturally know this. But like, just like they think that we don't do any work to learn this. We do work. We pay attention. We learn from people's mistakes. We learn from what we see other women do, what our mothers did, what they didn't do. We learn. But we don't just know this. I didn't come out of a barna being like, I'm supposed to send a text. Like, come on, right? But then this is how men, I swear to God, they're just like, well, boys will be boys. Boys are dumb, right? They're not dumb. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. They want us to think they're dumb. They want us to think they don't know how to do that. So they don't have to. But guess what? It's not your job to save their relationship with their own mother. It's not. Let them lose that relationship. Let her be pissed at him. And do not let her blame you for it, even though she probably will. But you don't have to listen to it. Be like, I'm sorry, I had my own mother to worry about. He doesn't help me with my mother, so I'm not helping him with his mother. Right? Or whatever. Or you get her present from you. That would be hilarious. I would love to hear what people do with this. Any of you who are really good with boundaries with your in-laws, especially like if there is tension there, because I know a lot of women have terrible relationships with their toxic boy moms, right? Who married their little prance. Those women who didn't teach him how to do anything for himself. Neither did his dad. So, just saying. But let me know how those of you who've success, please share, because there's a lot of women following me who are really struggling with this. And I'm just in a very lovely, lucky situation. So I don't even have to figure out ways to set boundaries because nothing is expected from me. Nothing. And I love that for me. But like they say here, kinkeeping is basically the family glue. So even though they've been kind of talking about this or talking around it and trying to figure out what it is for a while, but the one thing that has been consistent in all their studies throughout all this time is that it's almost always women. In a 2017 study, more than 91% of the volunteers were women for a kinkeeper research. Researchers have been kind of shocked at how little the gender breakdown has changed over the years. All these feminist men who are like, yay, go work outside the home, let's get some more money, but they still won't do any of this. And women are like, you know what, this sucks. Now you literally just bring nothing but work. Even with all this technology, they won't do it. They're like, you thought maybe that men would maybe do a little more when technology made it more? Nope. They don't want to. Men don't do things they don't want to do. Unless they literally have to, they won't do it. Or unless a man is involved, right? When it comes to women, they are more than happy to just be like, no. Because they know our image is on the line. They know our codependency will take over. They know that women just work and never, ever question the fact that we don't have spare time and they have endless spare time. And how did that work out? But I don't know. All I know is that he won't do it. So someone has to. Some of y'all get really worried when I hit this. I should probably stop doing it, but I get worked up. There is a protective thing on it. So I hope it's okay. So Eve Rodsky, the one who wrote Fair Play, said she believes that the kinkeeping is still mostly done by women because we still have a huge time disparity in how women and men use their time. When women set boundaries on their caregiving time, she added, they can experience guilt and shame. Oh, you know what? I need women to be more comfortable with shame and guilt. Just because you feel shame and guilt doesn't mean that you should be ashamed or that you're guilty of anything. Do you know how many times I have had with a man because I felt guilty of what? And now what if he gets blue balls? Even though men literally made that up. Blue balls don't even exist. I don't ever want to hear that word. If I don't have to hear that word until the day I die. The fact that they made up, and anyone is like, yeah, but they said that. No, I don't want to hear anything. It is so not really a thing. They made up a fake medical condition to coerce women into schmegs. Like they will do anything because they know our guilt and our shame will get us talking ourselves into the most ridiculous things. Okay? So when men try to guilt you out of having time, as much free time as them, think of that as the domestic labor blue balls. So this TikTok was talking about how a play, and as someone who worked in the film industry, I absolutely have been thinking in these terms for a while, is that men are, like, I think more in movies rather than plays, because I'm not really a part of the play community, but literally, as someone who worked on the crew, this is why I talk about, like, the crew so much, and how much I'm like, you know what, screw directors, and screw these actors, these method actors, especially the Bradley Cooper who won't let people sit, what's his butt, Christopher Nolan, no chairs, you know, all these men who just torture the crew. That crew is working their butt off, and they are this silent labor. And then these men, actors, especially these method actors, torture everyone on set to make everyone's job harder, even their own job harder. And then they get an Oscar for torturing people. And then Bradley Cooper is thinking he's going to coast in and get his first Oscar. He's bragging about how he won't let anyone sit. And I'm so glad that man got nothing. Screw you, Bradley. But it's the same with movies. It's all like women are... Christopher Nolan's wife is the producer. That's why all those actors end up thanking her every time they mention that man's name. Because they're like, Chris and Emma, she is creating the Christmas magic of every movie that man gets made. And she's taking care of all the things as a wife, too. And all these bros are like, yo, Christopher Nolan's like brilliant. Like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. And his movies are trash because they're all about men. And it has a dead wife problem. Anyway, Google it. But this is what it is. Women are doing all this. Mother's Day too. And then the men get the credit. So I'm tired of men getting all the credit. Oh, wait, look, he's dreaming. Oh, he's dreaming. Look at the little feet. I swear, if y'all get to hear his bear growl, I would be just delighted. So as she's talking about here, there's all this effort and time and energy that goes into the play. But at the end of the day, when the play is done, people are not clapping for everything that they did not see. Invisible labor. In many cases, being a kinkeeper is rewarding. When it's done from a place of generosity and agency, it can be really empowering, says this psychiatrist. Many kinkeepers genuinely appreciating being the person that relatives turn to for emotional support and guidance, or or the person responsible for carrying the torch from elder generation. Okay, before I go on, I would argue, like, I like to think that, and I mean, again, I think I like being a part of community. I like having family. I love connecting people. That's literally one of my favorite things to do, is to connect people. However, I want us to be really careful when we talk about this in terms of like, oh, well, like, my mom just loves doing it. You know what? I bet she does. But did she ever have a choice? Has she ever been given the time and the resources and the freedom to go, I don't know, travel by herself, or go and spend time outside of the home doing a hobby that wasn't about helping people? I swear to God, when women have hobbies, it's almost always about helping people somehow. You know what I mean? Like, so many women, like even my mom's generation, they still don't know how to do things just for themselves, right? And so even though they enjoy all this, and I'm not saying they don't, do they really enjoy it because that's what they're choosing? Or is that literally all the thing that they just did, and they enjoy, or they have just a good outlook on life and they're positive and they made the best of it, or they just like doing it? But did they have a choice? And also, two things can be true. Multiple things can be true. They may enjoy doing it, but they're tired of being responsible for it. They may enjoy doing it, but it'd sure help if you stepped in, you know? And by you, I mean, if any men follow me, which very few do. But even, you know, I've been that person who really just kind of let other women do things because I was like, oh, this is their thing, and I'm like really not sure what to do, so I didn't even know how to help. And I'm getting better at like anticipating the things that need to get done. And unless they're an Italian mom, okay? I have a lot of Italian friends, and they're like, don't ever help. Do not ever help. They will hate you. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I understand sometimes it's their domain, but at the end of the day, are they choosing that? Did they really choose that? Anyway, it's contextual and it's a very personal thing, but don't ever assume the women who are just doing this are choosing to do all of it and genuinely love it, right? They also said in this research that feeling close and connected to family members and supports mental health. For a lot of kinkeepers, it fosters a family sense of connection, identity, and well-being. Like, you know, community building and being close to other people. I want to be close to Anthony's family here, right? Like there's nothing wrong with this. It's the fact that women have always been forced into this because we let men get away with not caring about any of this. They also talk about kinkeeping. It literally keeps people in the family alive, right? Because kinkeepers have the potential to save lives by sharing family medical histories and encouraging loved ones to seek out preventative care, right? How many women went and got, breast exams, right? Or who, found out about ovarian cancer from another woman in the family, and then had, because that thing, once it's usually found, is a death, like it's death, it's certain death, right? So it's a lot of the preventative health care that family members get access to because the women are sharing information, which is a good thing, but men should be sharing this information. Men should be asking. They should be being proactive. They should take care of this instead of forcing their wives to do all this, especially for these men's own families and their own mothers. Because why? It can be time consuming and emotionally heavy. Yeah. Making sure everyone in the family knows that grandma's dying, emotionally heavy, time consuming. Making sure that there's casserole and all these things for, to support the people. Like, come on, y'all. Women's work has never been valued. Right? But I really want women to start understanding that our time is super valuable and it's been exploited by men for so long. And they are not entitled to more time, free time, especially than us, which is why I'm constantly talking about their hobbies and how time consuming it is. And you need to stop saying okay, right? You force time outside of the home doing what you want to do because these men are going to take all of it. And time isn't money in terms of capitalism, but time is value. And it's valuable. And I would even argue time is more precious than money. We only have a limited amount of time on this planet. I'll be damned if I'm going to waste any of that cleaning up after men anymore. But when this kinkeeping is done from a place of resentment or obligation, that's when you get into trouble. Like, is it a real choice? When kinkeeping feels more like a chore, your mental health and your relationships with family can start to suffer. So if you're doing too much of this kinkeeping, you're actually harming your relationships because you're going to be a bitter bitch. And you can't hide that forever. And then you start being the passive-aggressive little bully who's like, don't you think you should call your mom? Don't you think? And we bully other women within the family. Like the way that women bully each other into kinkeeping, like it's so, like all of this because men won't do what they're supposed to do. I mean, other reasons too, but that's the main reason behind women fighting in families is there's usually a king baby triangulating all of them. All the things that women have to do to swoop in and comfort and care for the women who've been screwed over by the men in their lives, especially their husbands, that is exhausting, right? Kinkeepers often find themselves stuck in the middle of complicated family dynamics and playing the role of gatekeeper of important family information, which can come with power, but also stress. And that power thing is important because a lot of women, especially if they're forced into this, they actually end up using this as this really weird power play of withholding information as a power move, right? I've seen it so much, y'all. Gatekeeping information as like sometimes their only form of power within that home is this with information. Men are doing this with money and time and all the other things, but when this is what information. This is one of the women. Nope. Right? But why are we put in that position to begin with? Why would we need to get power from that? Because men are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because they're exploiting us. I don't know if it's been mentioned yet. I think it might be somewhere in this article. It's about another form of kinkeeping, the memory keeper. Now, I, as a journalist and also a storyteller, I take a lot of photos, not because I'm going to ever post them, but because I like to have memories of things, and I'm a very visual person. So I take the most random photos, and then I also take photos of people, and I take photos of everything around me because I want memories. And I don't know, also maybe because my dad died of Alzheimer's. I don't know what it is, but when I'm telling stories and I'm remembering things, I know I might forget them, so I take photos, right? But that's what I do for our family. I don't do anything, but that's what I do, And part of it is also because U.S. Americans just take way more photos than French people. Like, I'm telling you. People are like, you need to simmer down. And not everyone's like, God, can you just not take photos? Like, look, don't think all U.S. Americans are like this. This is a little journalist ability, me too, okay? I don't give them a bad name. But you know what? My family here, they really appreciate it. They're always like, thank you so much. That labor is very much valued. And I enjoy doing it, and I would be doing it for myself if not to also share with the family. And I'm not posting most of that on because I don't want to show kids' faces or any of their faces. I'm like really paranoid now, especially now that I have like so many men who hate me online, the little devils at the podcast. But one way you can put boundaries around is to stop being such a perfectionist. If you're gonna do these cupcakes really need to be homemade? And this is about image management, right? If you're gonna do some of this, do it imperfectly. Be okay. Just image management and perfectionism really is what makes a lot of our lives so much harder. And part of it is based on little Judge Judy, whether this is your and mother-in-law or your mother or the little Judge Judy that lives inside of you and is like, you suck, it's never good enough, mom guilt, mom guilt, mom guilt. Please stop listening to her. Like saying no and doing a crappy job at things should be the goal for a lot of women. Also think about that oftentimes the cupcakes aren't really about cupcakes. They represent a custom from your childhood that you want to pass on, or they stand for something you didn't have growing up and you want to give your own children. Either way, whatever it's about, if you're not getting the support you need, start by explaining to family members why you do things the way you do. If you can just take a step back and spend 5 minutes on the why, it literally changes everything. Well, I mean, maybe, but this is assuming that you're not married to a piece of crap. A little king baby who's like, yeah, I don't care how important it is to you. I'm not doing it. Or I don't like, you know what I mean? Like these conversations, just keep in mind there are men who are deconstructing patriarchy and literally learning as they go. Like they're starting to see, holy crap, right? But those are men who love their wives. Those are the men who are willing to do that. But as we know, a lot of men don't really love their wives. They just love having a wife, but they don't love those women in particular, right? And with men like this, that ain't gonna help. No explanation is gonna make them change anything because they don't care. They don't care if you are happy, because they don't even see you as an individual. They see you as their wife. And marriage was the end, the finish line of them having to make any effort, rather than the beginning of you better do everything to keep this woman. They talk a lot about self-compassion, and it has a direct impact on reducing stress levels. In the act of caring for others, we must not forget to care for ourselves. And I swear to God, there's so many, I know so many moms who are like, and it's their mom guilt. It's that mom guilt, right? Or whatever. It's like, I gotta be the best mom ever. And if I'm not the best mom ever, then I suck. And my child's gonna suffer. You know what? You know what's gonna make your child suffer? Her or him or them watching you martyr yourself, burn out, being resentful because you're doing all this stuff for them. Do you know how many women will like do stuff that they don't want to do, that makes them so mad, that they don't even have to be doing, but they've convinced themselves because of their own social conditioning and because of some of the toxic crap all the other moms are like, you know what I do? I make my own kids' baby food. Great. I'm not going to do that, right? I saw it when my friends started having kids. I'm like, oh my God, is this competitive mothering? What is this? I make my la, right? Like, fork all that stuff. Because one of the biggest gifts that you can give your kid in terms of role modeling and also just helping them adjust to what adulthood is you being a full human being with a life of your own. Obviously, you're responsible for them. But told you I love convincing moms to do something they weren't going to do because of that little voice in their head, or because other moms are like, no, but what about your son? Nah. And right, and they do something that brings them joy, and they end up being so much happier in their home. And their kids see, wow, mom does this and this and this. She's not just like my mom. Because when that kid leaves the home, if he ever does, or if it's a boy, he won't ever leave. You're stuck with him. If you role model martyring. But once these kids leave, then you're going to be like, who am I? I don't even know who I am. Because of the kids and because of this king baby who was just literally more work and more stressful than all the kids combined, right? Please don't end up in that situation. That's where empty nest syndrome comes. And it's almost only women who suffer from that because they don't even know who they are. If your partner or another member of your family is the kin keeper, be mindful that this can be thankless work, right? Simply expressing gratitude for the care and acknowledging how much work it involves can help prevent kin keeper burnout. I mean, sometimes they don't want you to help because you're going to create more work for them. But also, sometimes thank you is not enough. Literally do something. Here we go. And by all means, offer to help. Not only will it take some of the load off of the loved one, but you'll probably benefit too. Kinkeeping can be a powerful way to nurture your own relationships, and research suggests that relationships quality has an enormous impact on health, happiness, and longevity. Think about it. The quality of your relationships is built on these small moments. That's why, so many men are like, I don't understand why I'm not close to my kid, but they won't do any of the care. And it's like, bro, you don't get to be a good dad just because you came one day, right? And paid for their food. A lot of men will only learn how to nurture the relationships in their life, including the ones with their own mothers, and appreciating their own mothers by being forced to think for themselves and pay attention and ask themselves, what would my mom want? And then going to the store, picking it out, pulling the wallet out, and paying for it. They'll probably pay someone to wrap it, to be honest, if it's even wrapped. But making them do it, stop doing it for them. You are creating little monsters out there, right? We do not need any more of these, right? Your brother, your dad, your son, your husband, all of them. All they do is create more work for us. And the more you enable them and let them take credit for it, the more they're just going to not do it. Letting men suffer the consequences of their own actions is one of the most loving things you can do. And even if you look bad for a little bit, that'll learn them, hopefully, because either mom is going to come down hard on them or they lose their relationship with their mom, which is going to suck for them, but that's not your family. Anyway, I know it's more complicated than that. Please let me know any tips that if you are the ken keeper or whatever, or have helped the ken keeper, if there's just one who does most of the work, please share tips, resources, advice, wisdom. I love to hear it in the comments. Please follow me on Patreon if you're a fan of my work and want to hear about other parts of my life too, and more personal stories. And like, comment, share with your friends, hit the share button, whatever. All this stuff makes it so that I can keep doing this work that I love and help building my own community here online. Thank you for watching. Et voila.